All right, back again, and talking about this NBA draft lottery. I was like, Cooper Flag, like you might be going to the Mavs, or maybe, but the real thing I really coming up here with is the fact that everybody's talking about, is the NBA rigged? Is it rigged? What happened? The Mavs got the number one pick. That thing is rigged. All this other stuff. And to be honest, I don't really care if it's rigged or whatnot. I was like, is it rigged? I feel like it's like anything else that we sort of trust in life. I was like, there's a string of coincidences that can and probably should believe that something is rigged. For the people that's like, why would they rig it? That's stupid. I was like, hey, I think that's fine too. Not everything needs to be a conspiracy theory. Not everything needs to be rigged. But at the same time, I was like, I can sort of understand if you do also come to that conclusion. Now, some people just come to that conclusion basically in the same way that some people just not also going to believe any type of conspiracy at all. So that's fine. That's cool. Whatever. I was like, you got people on both extremes that are going to be like, it's a conspiracy. And then some people that's like, no, it's not. And it's just for no reason or whatever. My real big complaint is the fact that hearing a whole bunch of people basically is realizing that they don't know how conspiracies, I feel like, work at all. And I was like, I think you can make cases on both sides of why it could be one, why it couldn't be one, and I think that's fine or whatever. Except for a lot of people that I've heard of, like, why it's not one, to me has been really dumb. Like, and I was like, and I know especially nowadays that when I was like, well, I was going to say the way that people do conspiracies and stuff like that, I can understand why people are really a lot more hesitant to talking about it, because really now conspiracy has really decided to be pictured as a political thing. When I'm like, that's not what conspiracies are. And I was like, or shouldn't necessarily be. It could be conspiracy theory for whatever group, whatever side, whatever people. I was like, there's a conspiracy for everything if we're going to do this, or a rigging of something in life or whatever. So I was like, but the way that people came about it, where they just seemed like, oh, so you just think that that all these people are together? Why would the NBA be all in on this? You know, I was like, why would these other teams? And I'm like, that's not how a conspiracy works. Like there's one group, whoever is the NBA people, basically, like, for instance, let's say if Adam Silver was like told people that got to that get to do all the numbers, and cause they do stuff, and apparently they do like things by each doors, there's codes and all this other stuff that other people don't know, but nothing about the other thing, and it's really top secret, which is, I'm like, if you do, I was like, which doesn't help at all with any of the conspiracy thing. The people that over here that's telling the way they were like, they do the stuff in the back, and only they know, that only that person knows, that only that person knows. And I was like, that actually feeds more to the conspiracy, because it's like, one, we don't get to see the process. So that just because you tell us about the process, it don't mean a damn thing. But so like, we don't get to see any of the conspiracy. At least back in the day, they would at least fool you with doing the ping pong ball with the little, with turning it up or whatever. That at least we could be like, well, I get to see it. And even when they used to do the envelope, was sort of started the whole thing where it's like you could do that, just like how somebody used to be able to do that, like with cars, like. If you got your own deck, you might know that torn card, oh, that's the big joker. I know that person got a big joke. I was like, there's different ways to cheat systems. Now I'm just like, okay, but like now I'm like, we don't see anything. We all just sort of think that it's sort of computer generated, just number just running and stuff like that. This person got this code, they got this code, and I'm like, okay, cool. That doesn't help your case of it not being a conspiracy at all. If anything, that does the opposite to a whole bunch of people. So it's like, we don't get to see the process. You telling us all number based, and everybody else got these, got this thing, which I'm like, if you do a conspiracy, guess what? You don't tell everybody everything. That person got one set of blueprints. That person has another set of blueprints. That way, when everybody else gets caught up, say we rounded up everybody together, they can't say nothing, because they don't have none of the pieces to make anything prove that was a whole situation. So there's that whole thing with the like having a conspiracy. But guess what? Say they all did. The teams don't have to know nothing about it. That's the thing. I was like, I didn't understand. Like when, like for instance, this was what I heard from like Brian Windhorst. I even heard it on like the Dan Lebatard show with a couple of their people in there and stuff, like Jansen, Amin and stuff. And the whole thing is that, oh, why would the 76ers agree to that? Well, what about the Utah Jazz? And I was like, what do they got to do with anything? Well, technically, I was like, let's use the whole thing of like the government and the people. The NBA, Adam Silver and all the other people, they the government. The NBA teams are the people. How many of y'all know about all this shit that they doing behind the scenes? You don't. Cool. That's sort of what this is. It's like, why? I was like, 76ers ain't got to know nothing about that. Utah Jazz, they got to know about it. All the Utah Jazz basically is like, the Utah Jazz basically right now is just kind of like, damn, I keep putting myself in the position to have the best life I can, and I keep getting screwed. Dang, even though they changed it with their own version with the tanking, but that's a different story. But that's basically what this is. Now, let's go to where the whole thing might lie. I was like, of it being stupid or not. It's basically the Mavs getting the number one pick. Now, on one hand, you could say, because I've heard people be like the NBA guys and stuff, and it's like, on one hand, sure, maybe the NBA guy was like, hey, I was like, the fans they lost Luka. So what we gonna do? We gonna give them another generational type of player. I mean, Luka was that, not Dirk, but you get what I'm saying. But at the same time, why would you reward the fans, but you really also rewarding the owners and the GM? So why would the NBA guys do that? So from that standpoint, now if you want to really get into the whole thing of it, when the rumors of why Luka got rid of in the first place, and then everybody started speculating like, hey, this team, I was like, the owners, they want to move the team. How do you do that? I was like, lower, like, the property, all that other stuff, raise the ticket price to get the people mad, all the other stuff. And everybody was like, that's poppycock, that don't make any sense, blah, 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 or whatever. So it would have been interesting to see if that would have played out. But if you're going to go off that, say that is something that was maybe rumored or speculated or heard about or whatever like that. And it's like, hey, we don't want y'all to do that, so this is what we'll do. People make side deals all the time. Who says? I was like, why does Utah got to be a part of it? They don't. They maybe just over here to be like, hey, Dallas, so you don't try to move somewhere else. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give you this number one pick to help you with your team. And it's like, fine, I guess we won't move somewhere else or whatever like that. I'm not saying that would happen. I'm just saying that could be a discussion. Now, could that also be stupid? It could. But we've seen a lot of dumb things that people have done that we was like, oh my God, this sounds like a conspiracy. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, that turned out to be right. And then you don't hear nothing about it from any of the people that were just like, that were trying to poo-poo it at all. We've had a lot of dumb stuff come to the forefront in years of like, oh, they actually did that. That's crazy. So I was like, with this whole thing, I'm like, if you don't think that it was just rigged or whatever, I can understand that, because it's like, hey, there's a whole bunch of numbers is over here processing it, and a 1.8 chance is still a 1.8 chance. We do a lot of stuff in life with way fewer odds within the 1.8 chance of something being successful and making it, or whatever, or you getting something done, or whatever it may be. So guess what? So I was like, number just run that way. I was like, this, hey, a squirrel. I was like, somebody can find a nut 2 times a day, something like that. Anyway, I'm just saying, you also ain't nuts if you also think it is rigged. I can see that. I was like, we've shown plenty of times of how it can be rigged in a lot of situations, whether that be from LeBron James leaving and the Cleveland Cavaliers kept getting number one picks after number one picks after number one picks after number one pick. all these times, I was like, we've had it. I was like, where it was like the New Orleans Pelicans getting it or whatever. Like I've seen people talking about like, oh, you gave LA this gift, we're going to give you this gift or whatever. And I was like, that one sort of falls on it because it's like, I was like, it was really more so the fact that it's like the CP3 thing. I was like, LA didn't get a #1 pick for that, but at the same time, I was like, CP3 to the Clippers. I was like that one. Oh no, the Clippers. I was like that turned into Kyrie Irving. I was like the other one turned into Anthony Davis from CP3. Then it turned into Zion after Anthony Davis. So it's not like it doesn't. There had been examples of this working in some type of form or whatever like that. So that's why I'm like, you can't just or whatever. And then people was like, oh, why? It's like, why this couldn't be a conspiracy for the Spurs? I was like, it could have too. Like, it doesn't have to just be for one team or whatever. It could have been like things could have just been like, oh snap, last minute. That don't mean like months ago. It could have been like, yo, we're gonna get the Spurs the top pick. Can you imagine Victor Wembanyama and Coop? That's crazy. But at the same time, it could be like, hey, we don't want. I was like, there's a reason also, because I was like, because a conspiracy theory just doesn't have to be nailed down to one thing. Because I was like, there's a reason why. Also, at the same time, that why we also getting proved that tanking does not work is the fact that Utah is not getting the top pick. That could be a conspiracy as well too. No, I was like, you don't want to see your star there. Crazy, right? I was like, Washington, like, what's the last #1 pick they got? John Wall, which was sort of after what the whole thing with the Raiders thing. Crazy, or whatever. I'm just saying, it's like the Knicks. It's like, yeah, the Knicks was sort of like sorry all these times of doing all these things. That guess what? Maybe they didn't want to give something to James Dolan because he was being sort of like, I don't know, a nuisance to the team. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm really more just at the fact of just like, do people not understand how the conspiracy theories work or whatever? Like, yes, I was like, people make it to such a bad thing now in such a way that it's kind of like that it is sort of a problem. Look, basically, long story short, is that, hey, I understand how conspiracy theories are looked at nowadays, but have conspiracy theories ever been looked at in a really good light? No. Because I'm going to say right now, it's all fuel because it's like, oh, it really look like it's on the red side. That's like promoting all these conspiracy theories. But then it's also like, yeah, but if you believe in conspiracy theories, you're a wacko. You're crazy. You're weird. But I'm like, 10 years ago, you was also a wacko. 20 years ago, you was also a wacko. 30, 40 years ago, you was also a wacko. There's a reason that they pretty much made the whole turn to make you think that, oh, that person's crazy once they do all these things. Even after their points get proven, you still get to be like, yeah, but that person's crazy. Now, granted, sometimes the people that do a lot of these things aren't sometimes a pleasant amount of people. So I will give that part to it. But at the same time, I'm like, there's never been a time that being a theorist has ever been good light. So what makes it any more different now? Now it's just kind of like it's just like we done sort of got back to a whole like pendulum of like. Cause at first I think that for a while it was starting to be like, okay, not that. I was like, it was teetering away from being like, oh, Psycho great. Then we just jumped right back to being like when I was just listening, it's like we don't even want to be associated with that type of stuff, and it's like, and I'm just like, anything can really be a conspiracy theory. It really can. Anything can really be talking about the game of whether basketball, life, whatever, rigged. And also, I was like, I don't know. I was like, it just made me mad how everybody was talking about this in a way that was like it wasn't even fighting of necessary. It wasn't. It's like you could tell there was more there than just talking about or fighting did it get rigged for the Mavs, or is the NBA rigging this type of stuff, or whatever? When it was really more so of just like you could just tell like it was just a notion of just doing conspiracy theory. That all that I feel like that's what people were fighting against, and I'm like, it sounds like y'all don't even understand what this is, or even how these things come about. Where it was just like, it's like who will believe these type of things? I'm like, man, almost like it seems like as soon as you sort of hear about it, you're just like, you're not a person that deal with reals of life or whatever. And I'm like, man, everything that deals with the real of life is a damn conspiracy theory in itself. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Had my big ass rant. Yeah, I was like, other stuff will be coming on regards of Mavericks with Coop and all that other stuff. That's a whole separate thing, and tanking and stuff than this is. But anyway, that's all I wanted to do. So until then, peace. I'm out.